Everybody, let's talk about Python lists. In this tutorial we'll talk about lists in Python. What is a list? It's basically like an array, a collection of elements. For example, in Python we use for example, we have a basket list of items. I will say basket equal to, and we use the square brackets. For example, I have like an apple and then orange. For example, you went to a grocery shop and you bought these things, candy. I mean, whoever buys. So apple, orange, candy is a list of items. Now, for example, let's say you also have what else? Maybe you have money. You have like $10 or 10 rupees. When you save 10, and then let's say you also have. I mean, the point here is you can have lists of elements of different types. String and number here is still a good list. Now, in this list, there are how many elements? 4 elements. So we can talk about CRUD operations. What is this? CRUD means create, read, update, delete. Now, creating an element in list. How can you add an element in the list? For example, basket dot add, append, push. So these are the basic terms in programming language. In Python we use the function called append. So we can just say we can append noodles, instant noodles. You bought instant noodles. So now, for example, if you just say basket, right, when you print it, now we have apple, orange, candy, and then noodles. So we did append a lot of things. So yeah, noodles is added to the end. So that's interesting. Now, is this the only way to create an element in the list? Now there is this way. There's also another way using the plus operator. For example, basket plus equal to for example, what do I buy when we shop for groceries? Chips. Let's see what happens here. So what did I do here? Basically, for example, you can add lists. For example, if you do 3 plus 3 equal to 6, for example, and then we have a string like a plus b. What is it? It becomes ab. Similarly, a list of a comma b plus a list of c becomes a list of a b c. So this is an important concept here. So this is another way to add an element, but at the end of the day you're adding the element at the end of the list. So important. What if I want to add an element at the front of the list, which is the front here? So that is where we have member functions or methods come in place. You will just say insert. First you specify the index. So at 0, what do you want to insert? So first I want to buy a shampoo. Now if you run, see I have shampoo, apple, orange, candy. So inserting at the first index. So how does insert works? For example, if you want to insert at apple, it's gonna replace, it's gonna put something at apple and it's gonna push apple to the next, so for example, apple is 2, right? So if you can just say 1, you wanna put like a PlayStation 5, PS5. I'm gonna buy the shampoo and then PS5 and then apple, orange. So instead of apple we added PlayStation 5. So that is how insert works. So these are all creating an element or doing something. So these are making. So you can use the plus operator, you can just insert it, you can just append it. Is all important things. Now, however, what if you wanna let's say again you do if you want to do the same thing, right, like this, there's also another member function. For example, this is one basket, right? Let's say we have another basket that's called as cart. and then we have items in the cart like fries, burger, fries and burger in the cart. So if you want to add items of the cart into the basket, you may be thinking, let's do append. This is the best wrong answer, because we will see what happens. It's gonna, let me make the list shorter. Okay, I'm gonna remove orange and then candy as well. So yeah, if you do this, you see it's gonna add the list of items, but it's gonna add the list in the list. This is what we don't, this is not what we want to do. We want to add the items of the list in the list, not the list itself. So there are two ways of achieving this here. Cart is a list here, so what we will do, instead of append, you have to do something called extend. This is the best way to do. So if you do extend, that is what we want. So see, instead of being the list of lists here, we just have the elements in there. Now if you still want to use the list, there's another thing you can do. So you can just say append. Actually, I'm gonna put this below. Unpacked list. So open the cart and then take the items out and then append it to this. Can we do this? No, because it only takes one argument. So append only takes one. So do not try this one. So if you want to add a list to a list, do this or this. Okay. So this is the way to proceed. I think I'm just gonna add 2 of fries because of this. So yeah, so this is the important thing here. Okay, so this is creating stuff in the list. Now how do you read from a list? When I say read, access an element of the list. Read will be simple, so we'll just say element here, and I can say element basket. If I want the first element, we start 0. Computers start counting from 0. So first element is 0, 10th element is 9 minus 1. Okay, so if I say the first element, I got shampoo, which is the first element in the shampoo. For example, I'm just gonna make a simple list called numbers equal to 1 2 3, something like that. Now the first element in the numbers is 1. The last element of the numbers is, how can you access the last element? There are 2 ways. If you know the length of the list, so here the length of, there are 3 elements in the list, so 0 1 2, you can just say 2, you'll get the last element, which is 3. If you do not know the length of the list, put -1, you'll also get 3. So here important thing is, let's say you have list A, B, C, right? So you can just say, so the index of this one is 0, then 1 2, or you can also say -3, -2, -1. So you start counting from back, but if you start counting from back, it will become -1 because 0 is in the front, 0 is taken. So yeah, so this is a way. Now if I say -4, it's game over. I don't get anything, error. Okay, so that is a way to access or read elements of in the list. Now reading one element is with, you put a number in there, 1 or 2 or within the list, right? What if you want to access the 2 elements, the part of the list, let us, so if I want to access the let's say first 2 elements, you can say 0 to 2, so 0 and 1 will be here. There you go. If you want to first n elements, 0 to n, What if I want and get the last two elements? So what you can do is you can just say last two elements would be so from whatever to -3. Is that how it is? Nope. Nope. It's a puzzle here. If you want to get the last two elements of the list, what can you do? You will have to, for example, you have to start from the -3, or my bad, -2. There you go. Last two elements. Now last one element would become -1. So just be careful with that one. This is basically, if you want to do its syntax is like this: start, stop, increment. So if I want to get let's say there's like a D. So if I want to get A and C, so I start from A, go till D, but increment by 2. So I can just say what is this? First 4 elements increment by 2, so I'm just gonna get A and C, but 0 and 4 are standard. Even if you don't give them, you're just gonna get the same thing. So yeah, so there are interesting things you can do in this with these things. It's called slicing, using the square brackets and the two columns. It's called slicing the list. Now this is reading. Is there any other way you can read the list? Yes, I can read the list like a string. Okay, now we can see convert list to string. How to convert? Basically, I'm just making this into a str, right? Or in easy terms, something like that, right? How do you do this? Okay, we have these letters A, B, C, D, right? Now it's an important thing. You may be thinking you can do something like letters. No, this is not how it is happening. So you should do something like empty string dot join and then letters. I'm just gonna print it here. There you go, ABCD. So that is the answer for this. Converting a list into a string. Now, how can I read the length of the list? It's in the name itself. We'll just say length of letters. Again, same thing. So there are 4 letters, you get 4. Okay. Now this is also read. What else can you read? What is the first element? What is the last element? Using the slicing, you can do that. So and so. What is the fifth? You can read the nth element. I mean, you can read whatever you want using the slicing, and in a way you want using the conversion. So that's basically read. Now next one is update. How do you update the list? Interesting. Now what do you mean by updating the list? Adding something is updating? No. Let's say you wanna modify the existing character or letters. For example, enemies. So use plural for list. Single letter for a singular is not good for representing a collection. For example, we have boss fights in a game we are planning. So we have Dahaka as the first boss fight, and we have Shadi. Okay, and then we have, just say again, strings can be single quotes or double quotes. We have lady butterfly. So these are three enemies in there. Okay, so let's say I wanna remove Shady. I wanna put Genichiro in there. So how can I do this? So we can just say enemies dot update. You think there's a way to update it? Nah. Do you think there's a way to reset it? Nah. List easy. So we basically are overthinking. We don't need a member function to do the list. Unlike strings, lists are mutable. So we know shared is the second boss. So we'll get the index, which is second minus one, which is 1. We'll just say instead of shady, I want Genichiro, right? Now if I print enemies, what we will get? Genichiro, second one. So easy way to update this one. Now let's say, what else can you do to update the list? Adding an element a particular location, inserting. But again, modifying a particular element is this easy way. Is there any other thing you wish to do with updating? No. So let's take a look at the member functions really quick. Append, we know clear is just removing everything. Copy gets you a copyable list. Count is basically, I think we can talk about this later, but let's do this. Okay, that is about update. Next we'll just go to delete. Deleting is easy. For example, we want to delete the last enemy, which is lady butterfly. So last index is 2, right? So we can just say enemies of 2. Now there will only be 2 enemies because lady butterfly we deleted 0, 1, 2. 2 is deleted. Yeah, that is one way. Now this is a way we call it delete by index. Okay. What if we do not know the index but we know the value? Delete by value. Now this gets interesting here. Okay, now let's just say we have some colors. Okay, list of colors. We have red, blue, yellow, red, green. Okay, let's say I want to delete the red color. Okay, what happened? Yeah, I can do this, but I do not, let's say I do not know where the red color is there in my list. So I can do something called colors dot remove, and then I can just say red. Now there's a small catch here. Okay, if I do this, right, you expect, oh, it's gonna remove red in here. Yeah, it's gonna remove this red, but will it remove this red? No, it only removes the first red it sees. So yeah, it did remove the first red, which is this one, but it still has 4 things, so blue, yellow, red, green. How can we make sure we remove every single red we see? This is a very important concept. I'm just calling it remove all. We use a loop. Okay, for example, I'm just gonna call it R B Y R G. Say another R in there. R. You can see there are 2 R's still in there. Let's say if I want to remove every single occurrence of R, this is what you do. You will do this, right? You have to remove this, but you have to keep it in a loop. Let's keep it in a while loop. Now the list will try to remove the variable R while R is in the list. So while R is in the list, remove R. You see there is no R right now. So this is a very important concept to remove everything in the list. Alrighty, very important. So this is because there's no function called remove or replace in list. You cannot do this like a string. So that is very important. Remove all is a loop actually. So again, it's a very simple loop and it's handy to understand. So keep this in mind. Okay, this is to fancily delete something in the list. Okay, now obviously there is another fancy way to remove things or delete things. If you want to use a member function like remove to remove something based on the index, let's say let's not remove this, so I'm just gonna save that there. Let's say I want to remove an index y, I mean the element 2, I want to remove an index of 5, 0 1 2 3 4 5, or maybe let's just say 4. So I'm gonna, if I want to remove the fourth element, I need to remove the index of 3, right? So let's do that. I'm gonna remove the g. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I'm gonna 4. Okay, so I can do something called pop. So colors.pop 4. So if I do that, it's gonna remove the g there. Now, very important thing, if you observe pop, it does return a string. So it's gonna return the element at that index. So for example, if I can do this, removed element equal to so and so, and then colors, then removed element. So removed element is d. So it's a handy little thing because delete will not give you anything, and then remove obviously does not. Remove just returns nothing. So pop is a handy little tool. So you have 3 things now here: delete, pop, remove. These are ways to remove certain things in the list. So those are create, read, update, delete. Now we can also talk about something called sorting a list. In Python, it's very simple. You have the list of colors, right? So you can just say colors dot sort. You don't have to worry about bubble sort or anything using for loops in C++. You can just do that. Now your print class is gonna sort lexicographically. So if we put a capital R in there, so see, capital R becomes first. You know why it becomes first? Very important thing. ASCII of capital R is lower than small r. So if you look at capital R in here, where's that? See, capital R is 82 while small r is 114. So it's comparing the ASCII values. So very important, capital letters come first, then the small letters. So keep that in mind. But it does sort everything. So that's a fancy way to sort things. I think we talked about extend, we talked about adding stuff, we talked about inserting, we talked about appending, we talked about updating, sorting. There you have it. That is list for you. We also talked about unpacking, I believe. We'll talk about it in functions as well. But yeah, that is list. Thank you for watching.